Well, it looks as if that crafty spy, Boris Badenov, is one up on our heroes, for he has managed to steal Bullwinkle from the Moon Men and has taken him to his lonely house on the hill, where the Moose is putting his massive intellect to work on rediscovering his secret rocket fuel. All he's been able to make so far is a batch of chocolate pandari, but its aroma caught the attention of his pal, Rocky. Rocky set out to find Bullwinkle, and for a while it seemed that Boris was actually helping him. But at the last minute, Rocky found that the signs had led him straight into a trap. For a while, Rocky was certainly going downhill fast, but a few seconds later, he was really going up in the world.
Farewell, you miserable rodent. Happy landings, right in middle of ocean.
And while the balloon took Rocky far out over the ocean, the unsuspecting Bullwinkle was still experimenting, only this time with real chemicals. And as Boris approached the lab...
You know, I think I had it for a second there.
Splendid. Now, would you mind getting off my neck and back to work?
I must be working him too hard. He looks pooped.
But two famous scientists like Rocky and Bullwinkle couldn't disappear without somebody wondering what had happened, and it soon appeared that everybody did.
Read all about it! Bullwinkle disappears!
All police stations were notified.
This scientist has the following distinguishing marks: a small mole on his left shoulder blade, also a 6-foot pair of antlers.
The hunt for the missing moose went on in every state in the Union except one. When asked why, the governor replied,
"'Cause it ain't moose hunting season yet."
But in most places, the search went on doggedly, and probably the most eager searchers were the two Moon Men. Gidney and Cloyd wanted Bullwinkle as entertainment chairman of a party in their honor. Their methods were very simple. They just went from door to door where their appearance met with varying results.
I don't want any magazines, but I'd sure like to know what college you're working your way through.
Good heavens, is it trick-or-treat night already?
No brushes today, thanks.
It's not a brush, it's a mustache.
Hey, Mabel, looks like some more of your relatives again.
This isn't getting us anywhere, Gidley. Just one more house, Cloyd.
And Gidney's diligence was rewarded. That one more house belonged to Boris Badenov.
Zounds, it's those lunar loonies. They mustn't see me.
This is the last one, Gidley. My pods are killing me. Down here, they call them feet. Do you think we'll ever get to go to our party? Oh, sure. I'll bet that Bullwinkle chap is getting things ready right now.
Party, eh? Natasha, come here quickly.
And a few moments later, Boris flung his door wide open.
Surprise, surprise. Come in, come in. We thought you'd never get here.
Welcome to Earth, darlings, and many happy returns.
Cloyd, it's a surprise party. Surprised me, all right.
Here are the paper hats.
And the noisemakers.
Delightful. Nothing like noisemakers to pep up a party.
But those noisemakers were more deadly than delightful, for Bullwinkle's lab was in the room just overhead.
Must be fixing the street. Doggone, they don't make test tubes like they used to.
Now you just make yourselves at home while I make the punch. It's my own recipe.
Is it good?
Good. He's knockout.
And while Boris prepared a lethal potion for the Moon Men, the balloon carrying Rocky was in a terrible storm out over the Atlantic. Suddenly there was a searing bolt of lightning, an explosion, and the shattered balloon basket plummeted toward the angry ocean 10,000 feet below. Don't miss our next exciting episode, The Submarine Squirrel, or 20,000 Leagues Beneath the Sea.
And now it's time for...
Time for the dancing fool, Bullwinkle.
Again? And now for one of our special fairy tales.
Yeah.
It all started out with a plant, a variety of European bellflower used in the making of salads. The plant is called rampion. This plant grew in a beautiful garden belonging to a mean witch whom everybody feared. Unfortunately, the rampion could be seen from a little hut belonging to a peasant and his wife. every day the wife, who was to have a baby, she'd sit by the window and gaze at the rampion.
Darling, I know this sounds fantastic and utterly absurd, but I have this uncontrollable desire to have a salad made from that European bellflower. You know, rampion.
You mean those weeds there?
Rampion, dear. And I fear I must have some or I shall surely die.
All right, dear. If it's rampion you want, rampion you shall have.
And so the husband sneaked to the garden wall, peered over the top, and leaped into the garden of the witch.
Rampion schmampion. It still looks like weeds to me. Whoops!
Halt! You cannot move!
You know, you're right.
You have come into my garden like a thief.
Alas, be merciful. I'm only here because my wife sees your rampion.
I think I'll turn you into a toad.
And has such a longing for it that she would die if she could get no rampion.
If that's true, you can take away as much rampion as you like, but on one condition. You must give me the child which your wife is about to bring into the world.
In his fear, the husband consented to everything, and when the baby was born, the witch appeared, gave it the name Rapunzel, which is short for rampion, and took the little infant away with her. Rapunzel grew into a beautiful child. She played in the woods and was very careful of her long hair, which she would comb day after day. When she was 12 years old, the witch shut her up in a tower. It had neither staircase or door, only a small window. Matter of fact, there was only one way to climb up the tower.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, that I may climb the golden stair.
And that was the way. Well, a couple of years later, the king's son was walking in the forest, and he chanced to hear a song so lovely that he stopped to listen.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
The lovely voice came from Rapunzel's tower.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Ooh, that I may climb the golden stair. Wow! Rapunzel, I have searched far and wide, but never has my heart been so touched by song or beauty such as yours.
I like you too.
Will you be my wife and live with me in my kingdom?
Yes, I will gladly go with you because actually there doesn't seem to be any future here. I mean, Rapunzel, let down your hair, let up your hair. It gives me a headache, I'll tell you.
Then it's settled. We'll be married right away. Just let down your hair and we'll be off.
Aren't you forgetting something?
No. What?
Me! If I let down my hair, how am I to get down?
Ah, that's right.
Well, I think you better go now. The witch will soon return.
Oh, don't worry, Rapunzel. I'll think of something. Whoops!
Oh, you've come to fetch your lady love. Where you goofed. You'll never see her again.
And so the poor prince wandered, unable to see a thing, eating roots and berries. Meanwhile, back at the tower...
Oh, you wicked child. I thought I'd separated you from the world, yet you deceived me just for that. Well, now you've done it. We're both stuck here now. Aren't you forgetting?
And so poor Rapunzel was left to live in the tower all alone and in great poverty. The poor prince wandered about in the forest for 2 years. Then, one day...
It's hair.
Yes, hair it was, for in the 2 years Rapunzel's tresses had grown to their full length again.
Rapunzel, I told you I'd think of something, and I have. Only I can't see.
Why don't you take off your hat?
I can see. And now I'll climb down your hair, and when I get to the bottom, I'll explain my plan.
What's your plan?
Jump!
Jump! That's your plan?
Yes!
Some plan.
After 3 days in the barber shop, Rapunzel and the prince were married and lived happily ever afterward. That is, until one day...
Darling, I know this sounds fantastic and utterly absurd, but I have this uncontrollable desire to have a salad made from that variety of European bellflower.
Rampion?
Yes, dear, rampion. Well, here we go again.
Last time you remember, Boris Badenov had captured Rocky and set him adrift in a balloon. The balloon was struck by lightning and plummeted down toward the ocean thousands of feet below. As the balloon fell, the plucky squirrel managed to work his way out of the basket and, spreading his arms and legs, began to glide toward the distant shore miles away.
Boy, I hope I can stretch my glide that far.
Unfortunately, at that moment, Rocky was being picked up by the radar antennas of the Air Defense Headquarters.
General Broadbeam, sir, we've spotted a flying object headed straight for us.
What kind of object?
Well, sir, it appears to be a squirrel.
What?
Yes, sir.
Probably a secret missile we don't know about. Well, we can't take chances. Shoot it down.
And within seconds, huge batteries of weapons were leveled at Rocky and commenced fire.
Hokey smoke! They think I'm an enemy. Hey, cut it out! I'm friendly. Look, I'm smiling. Oh, if there were just some way I could tell them who I am.
Then the brainy squirrel got an idea and began to fly in a special pattern.
Look, General, the object is spelling something out.
Sure enough, the wily Rocky was using the smoke from the ack-ack burst to spell out letters, a kind of polka dot skywriting.
What's it say, General?
U.S. Cease firing! Don't harm a hair of his head! That is a U.S. taxpayer! We need every one of them we can get!
So Rocky continued gliding toward the shore, this time with an honor escort of jet planes. Meanwhile, at Boris's house, the spy was pretending to throw a party in honor of the Moon Men, complete with paper hats and noisemakers, while Bullwinkle worked in the room above.
Mind if I join you?
In a corner of the room, Boris, who was really anxious to get rid of the Moon Men, was mixing up a bucket full of Mickey Fins.
Oh, goody! Punch!
Boris, if Moose ever drinks that, he will be asleep for weeks.
And we won't get formula from him. Well, here's looking up your ancestors.
At that moment, Rocky and his escort were flying just a few hundred feet above the house.
I can make it now, fellas. Thanks a lot.
And the squirrel headed down for Boris's hideout.
Wait, a toast. Oh, sure. Gentlemen, the Queen. You said it. No. Now we must break glasses. But we ain't drunk the toast yet. In my country, you break glasses before you drink toast. You say so. But people must get pretty thirsty where you live. Now, I'd like to give a toast. Of course. Well, here's the crime. To crime?
Of course, that was a toast that Boris and Natasha had to drink. The results were immediate.
Hey, she's gone to sleep.
You fellas don't feel sleepy?
Nope.
Not even little bitsy bit?
Nope. That punch sort of peps you up.
Night.
And Boris joined Natasha in deep slumber.
Party droopers.
At that moment, Rocky appeared at the open window.
Bullwinkle, there you are.
Where else? Hiya, Rocky.
Come on, we gotta go back. Everybody's looking for you.
Oh, that's nice of them. Okay, let's go.
Come on, Moon Man.
Our friends started back, but just as they left the house, heavy hands fell on their shoulders and a very official voice boomed.
You are under arrest by order of the United States government.
Our heroes under arrest? Whatever for? Be sure to see our next episode, The Bars and Stripes Forever.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like. And now for the poetic part of our show, we present Bullwinkle's Corner.
Greetings, culture crowd. Today's poem is an old Greek classic called The Horn. I translate. Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep...
Hold it.
What?
I forgot my music. Okay, let's go.
That's kind of a big horn, ain't it?
It's a big part.
Oh. Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow. The cow's in the corn.
Boy, that's hard work.
Oh, where is the boy who looks after the sheep?
Don't ask me. I'm a musician myself.
He's under a haystack fast asleep is where, doggone it.
Why'd you call this poem The Horn anyway?
'Cause obviously that's what the little boy blew.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
But...
See? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Wrong hat.
And now it's time to meet Mr. Peabody.
Hello again. Peabody here. And you're just in time to accompany Sherman and me on another journey into history.
How far back do we go today, Mr. Peabody?
Back to the year 1797, Sherman, where we join England's most celebrated naval hero, Lord Horatio Nelson, for the Battle of Cape St. Vincent. As is customary with all my inventions, the Wayback Machine performed perfectly, transporting Sherman and me to the main deck of Nelson's flagship.
So Britannia rules the sea, does she? Well, I'm afraid that motto is due to go into extinction.
Pardon us, your lordship, but what seems to be the problem?
You mean you haven't heard?
We just got here.
Well, this blundering crew of mine left port minus one very important commodity.
You forgot to bring cannons?
No.
Ammunition?
No.
What then?
We forgot to cast off.
Sure enough, an unbelievably long hawser held the flagship in check.
Does that rope stretch all the way back to England?
All the way. And unless we get loose, we can't go into battle.
I suppose you've considered cutting it in two?
We've considered it, yes. But you see, Admiralty law frowns on such action. One must cast off, and one must cast off while leaving the dock. Oh, I'm afraid it's hopeless.
Meanwhile, just off the coast, the Spanish fleet lay at anchor.
Look at that silly Nelson.
He is like the sitting duck, yes, my captain?
Yes, like the sitting duck who is at the end of his rope. Tell you what we do. We send him a message.
Right, George, it's a communication from the enemy. Dear Lord Nelson, you are cordially invited to attend an informal battle staged in your honor at 6 p.m. As ever, the Spanish Navy.
Isn't there something we can do, Mr. Peabody?
There is one thing. Lord Nelson, I suggest you send a dinghy back to England to cast off the hawser.
Impossible. A dinghy would have to make it there by 6 so that we could go into battle. There isn't a man alive who could row that fast.
Mr. Peabody could. He won the International Regatta 3 years in a row.
4 years, Sherman, 4 years. And so, wasting no time, we headed back to England. Unfortunately, upon arrival, we found the dock heavily guarded.
Nelson should know better than to leave port without casting off. It just isn't done. I'll have him broken for this news. Now, remember, no one is to touch that hawser. No one, understand?
Uh-oh. Now what, Mr. Peabody?
This calls for subterfuge, Sherman. Pure, unadulterated subterfuge.
Alt. Who goes there?
Stand aside. It is I, the head of the RRI.
Oh. Now, off a mo. I never heard of no RRI. What's it stand for?
Royal Rope Inspectors. It's our job to inspect rope. Like this one here.
Oh, now take your hands off that there hawser.
It's almost 6, Mr. Peabody. We've got to hurry.
I said take your hands off that hawser. That's Navy property, that is.
Look at this. Intestinal calcification of the fibre.
What's that? Sounds horrible.
Never fear. England will care for your survivors.
My what?
Survivors. You see, unless we get rid of this rope, you're going to become infected and...
Well, get rid of the ratty thing.
And get rid of it we did. Just as Big Ben told 6. Of course, the rest is history. Nelson succeeded in sinking the Spanish fleet.
Oh, so Nelson was like the sitting duck, eh?
I think we made a boo-boo, yes, my captain?
Yes, we made a boo-boo by joining the Navy instead of the Army. Come on, push me into shore.
Later that evening, we returned Nelson's dinghy.
England owes you much, my friends. Goodbye and good luck.
Well, Sherman, shall we go?
Well, I guess so, Mr. Peabody, but I sure am disappointed.
Why is that?
Well, I never did find out why Lord Nelson wears an eye patch.
However, it wasn't a total loss. Sherman did discover something about wrestling. For there, on the poop deck, someone was giving an exhibition. It was Lord Nelson's half-brother. That, of course, is how the term half-Nelson came to be.
Well, that make-believe party that Boris was throwing at his house for the Moon Men developed some unexpected complications. In the first place, after Boris went to all the trouble of mixing up a bucket of Mickey Fins, Bullwinkle gave the wrong toast.
Well, here's the crime.
And Boris and Natasha had to drink their own sleeping potion. After that, the gathering broke up rather quickly.
Party droopers.
Then Rocky arrived and convinced Bullwinkle that he ought to return to his own laboratory. But as our friends left the house...
You're under arrest by order of the United States government.
What for?
We have information there are 2 spies here.
Spies? Who could that be?
Pardon my pointing, but it looks like you 2. Grab 'em.
But as the special agent grabbed Gidney, Cloyd leveled his scrooch gun, and the agent was instantly frozen solid.
Wait a minute, they're not spies. They're visitors from the moon.
The moon? Well, that's a job for State Department. But what about those 2? They look suspicious.
Sir, you are speaking of our hosts.
Oh, I'm sure they're all right.
They're just a little punchy is all.
Come on, Bullwinkle, we gotta get back to the lab.
But what about up the creek here? We can't just leave him.
Oh, he'll be all right. How long did you scrooch him for, Clyde? Only 50 years.
50 years?
Kind of a long wait, ain't it?
What'll we do?
Hey, I got an idea. Listen.
And so the next day there was a special ceremony held in the front of the National Security Building to dedicate a statue of Virus T. Updecreek, the first special agent to be scrooched in the line of duty. Very few people knew that the statue was really Updecreek himself, with a coat of white paint to keep him in good condition until he became unscrooched 50 years later. And of course, the real stars of the occasion were the Moon Men. Everybody wanted to look at them.
Oh, they're cute.
And in the next few days, the whole country went moon mad. Women immediately adopted the Moon Man look. Beauty shops specialized in Moon Man hairdos. Pointed heads were all the rage. Gidney and Cloyd were given the key to the city.
Delicious.
They even made television commercials.
And this is what the Moon Men look like after only 6 weeks at Dick Fanny's.
Yeah, we used to look like this.
Never have so many been so curious about so few. And pretty soon the pace began to tell on Gidney and Cloyd. They couldn't even eat a meal in peace.
Hello, Kirk.
Hello, Marilyn.
Hello, Governor.
Hello, Carrie.
Hello, Marlon.
Hello, Roger.
Hello, Sophia.
Hello, Gidney.
Hello, Clyde. Oh, this has gone far enough.
And so one night Rocky and Bullwinkle heard a knock on their door.
Come in. Why, it's the Moon Men. How do you like it here on Earth so far?
It's so wonderful we can't stand it anymore.
Look, I've got circles under my circles.
And from shaking so many hands, look, sagging fingers.
So we've got to leave now.
Well, toodaloo.
You don't understand. When I say we, I mean all of we. You too.
Us? How come?
Well, we can't just leave you here to discover the rocket fuel, you know.
But I was just now sending out my laundry. Oh, well, I guess they can forward it.
Quickly now.
And the 2 Moon Men marched our friends to the field where they had hidden their strange spacecraft.
Get in.
I don't suppose we could pay now and fly later.
In.
I didn't think so.
The door slammed shut, and with an unearthly sound, the spaceship with our heroes aboard zoomed straight up. Its destination, the moon. Don't fail to see our next episode. Hello out there, or there's no place like space.